everybody, welcome. Okay, hi guys, welcome to this hour. We're going to be reading this article about the recent events in France and what's going on right now. So, hi guys, how are you? Hi Amparo.
How are you? How are you? Are you better?
I'm better. I feel better, but my voice is still not back
much
to
better
normal.
than before.
Yeah. Earlier this week, I actually canceled 2 classes because on Monday night I could barely talk. So
Honey and lemon.
What? Oh, honey, yeah, I haven't done that. I should. Good reminder. Okay, Antonio, how are you?
Hi, teacher. Hello, everyone. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, good, wonderful. And Rafael, how are you doing?
Hi, Liz, I'm fine. Thanks for asking, and you?
Good, good. And Vitali, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Lisa?
Good, except for my voice is still not normal. Yeah, my cold that I had. Okay, you guys. So I guess I'm kind of assuming everybody has heard about what happened recently in France with the shootings. So I got this article from NPR.org. So here's the link down here at the bottom. And it's a short article. But what I thought we could do is, of course, read the article and then discuss it. And sometimes another good practice for English learning is to read comments, because when you read the comments, sometimes they're foreign people writing, but usually, you know, the Americans on an American website, they're writing things, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best place to look for correct grammar or something like that, but it is how people talk and how they write. And so it's also interesting when there are a lot of comments and maybe like a little bit of a argument going on or something like that. So it's actually, you know, for English learners, a good way to see how people talk about things and how they express their opinions in terms of using the same vocabulary and expressions that they use. Okay, so we're going to read first, as we usually do, and then we'll talk about it, and maybe we can look at some of the comments. You know, people, if you want to look at some of the comments while other people are reading or something, then you could do that too, and maybe if you find something that's particularly interesting, you could share it with us when we get into the discussion. So it's not a very long article, so we'll just read it kind of quickly and go over some vocabulary and then discuss. My Verbling chat says it's still loading, but it's not working yet. So if you want me to see something that you're writing, let's go ahead and use the group chat so everybody can see what's being written. Okay, so France at war with jihadism and radical Islamism, Prime Minister says. France's Prime Minister says his country is at war with terrorism, jihadism, and radical Islamism, but not with ordinary Muslims and their religion. All right, so since it's a short article, everybody's just going to have a little bit to read. So Amparo, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Okay. France at war with jihadism and radical Islamism. Prime Minister says. France Prime Minister says his country is at war with terrorism, jihadism, and radical Islamism, but not with ordinary Muslims and their religion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's kind of an important point here of what happened in France. People are not against ordinary, what we call ordinary Muslims. So that would be just like, you know, with other religions, there are some people that are very fundamentalist or extreme in their beliefs and what, you know, how they support their religion, and other people just, it's more about themselves, you know. Okay, so Amparo, do you understand jihadism? Do you guys, is that a familiar term? It's in the news all the time. I don't know. In
jihad.
What?
It's coming from jihad.
I didn't hear you, Amparo. Can you say it again?
Yes, I said that it's coming from jihad.
Yeah. jihad, which is like a armed conflict kind of thing. Okay. And radical. So another word for extreme is radical. So that's what another way to, when we're talking about people who do things kind of out of the ordinary, we say. And for some reason, I only have a view only, so I have to work on that. Okay. So let's see. They are at war with. So when you're looking at reading, we do look at the prepositions. So we say we are at war with something or with somebody, with another country, another group of people, something like that. So at war with is the way we express that. Terrorism, jihadism, and radical Islamism, but not the regular, everyday, ordinary Muslims or the religion itself. So that's an important distinction there. Let me just say hi to Israel. Hi, Israel. And
Hi, teacher.
hi, welcome to class. And Yildirim, hi. Okay, you can only stay here for a little while? Okay. Okay, let's continue. It's a short article, so we don't have a lot for everybody to read. We're going to discuss it more. Prime Minister Manuel Valls said Islam, the country's second most common religion after Catholicism, has its place in France. After Valls' speech, lawmakers broke into La Marseillaise, the national anthem, and applause. It came the same day that funerals were held in Paris for the victims of last week's attacks. Okay. Yildirim, you want to read? So since you're going to leave soon.
This part?
Yeah, the part that I just read.
Prime Minister Manuel Valls said Islam, the country's second most common religion after Catholicism, has its place in France. After Valls' speech, lawmakers broke into La Marseillaise, the national anthem, and applause. It came the same day that funerals were held in Paris for the victims of last week's attack.
Okay, let me just... Oops. Hold on, I'm changing this so I can edit it. Okay. All right. Now that should work better. Now I have to... Okay. All right, so the Prime Minister, he gave his speech, and he says here that Islam, which is the country's second most common religion. So, of course, Catholicism is the #1 religion in France, but Islam, or being Muslim, has its place in France. What do you guys understand by that? It has its place. What does that mean, Yildirim? Do you understand that expression that he said?
Actually, I don't understand.
Okay, good. So then you're going to learn. Does anybody understand that?
It's here in the France.
Uh-huh. Say it again.
Catholicism. They are in the France. It's place for Catholicism.
Not Catholicism, though.
I think that France
it's
is not
affected.
going to.
Yeah, Amparo?
I said it's accepted, has its space in France.
Yes. Antonio, was that what you were going to say? Or is it? It's kind of hard when I don't call on you. Israel, did you want to say something too?
Yes. For me, that means that the Catholicism has its spot in France. It's part of the other religion there.
Well, let's look at the sentence again, because this is the important part here. He's talking about Islam, actually, and so he said that Islam, which is the country's second most common religion after Catholicism. So the word here, after, gives us the information that Catholicism is the most popular. So you could say it's the number one in terms of how many people are Catholic, but Islam is number two in terms of numbers of people who have that as their religion. So it's the second most common religion, and it has its place. So he's actually saying that Islam has its place, and it's like what Amparo said. It means that it's accepted. Okay, so to have your place, you belong there. You know, it's accepted that people are Islamic. They're not trying to get rid of Muslims. Okay, so that's an important thing. The idea is they are at war with the extremists, the jihadists, the radical Islamists, not the religion itself. So France does not want to, only be Catholic. They don't, Islam is accepted. You can be Islamic in France. All right, let's keep going. So his speech, he's giving a speech. The lawmakers, the politicians there, they broke into La Marseillaise. So to break into song means to start singing. So to break into song means they started singing their national anthem. So the name of their national anthem is La Marseillaise, and that's the song that every country has a national anthem, and usually it's the song that you sing like before a sports event or at an official government event, something like that. So they all started singing it. It's kind of like, very patriotic and showing that they support France. And then applause happened. So applause is when people are clapping their hands, and everybody is feeling very patriotic and supportive of this idea. That's the idea. All right, so it came the same day. It came really means it happened. It was on the same day that the funerals. Does everybody know what a funeral is? Yildirim, do you know what a funeral is?
It's a religious celebration for when you are
We have
going to
a grave.
burial for someone.
When someone dies, yeah. Yeah, when you're going to bury someone, the burial. Right. So the people who were shot and killed, they died, and so you give them a funeral. So like you said, Antonio, it can be it can have some religious, it doesn't have to be, a funeral doesn't have to be a religious ceremony. Oftentimes they say something maybe out of the Bible, or depending on the the religion of the person who died. But generally it's just a time where people come together and you're burying the person who died. All right, so they're burying the victims, the people who got shot. They were the victims of the attack. So the attack was, where the 2 guys or 3 guys went in and shot the cartoonists and the journalists, and some of them died, and so they were being buried. So people were going to their funerals. Okay, Valtz's remarks, so remember this is the name of the Prime Minister, so his remarks came ahead of a 488-1 vote to reauthorize French airstrikes against militants of the Islamic State in Iraq. French law requires a vote every 4 months to extend such operations. The lone dissenter, a center-right member of parliament, argued that the airstrikes were making the situation worse, a German website reported. Okay, Antonio.
Valls' remarks came ahead of 488-1 vote to reauthorize French airstrikes against militants of the Islamic State in Iraq. French law requires a vote every 4 months to extend such operations. The lone dissenter, a center-right member of parliament, argued that the airstrikes were making the situation worse. Javier Manguet reported.
Good. All right, so his remarks, your remarks are your comments, what you're saying. So up here, what they were quoting him as saying, that's what they're referring to. So whatever he was saying, that's what he remarked, can also be a verb, to remark. Whatever he said, that's what he said. So his remarks came ahead, so before. In this case, ahead just means before they were going to vote. And they did this vote, and the vote was to reauthorize. So it explains that here, that in order for them to continue with the airstrikes, the lawmakers have to vote to reauthorize. So re here means again. So to authorize again these airstrikes. So an airstrike is when a plane flies over and bombs a certain area, and they're bombing the militants of the Islamic State. So the militants are like, usually we say a soldier, but if it's not a government, it's more like a guerrilla group or something like this that's fighting against a government. They're referred to as militants instead of soldiers. Sometimes you'll see soldiers too, but more likely militants. Okay, so the French law requires that they vote every 4 months to extend such operations. So to extend means to carry on, to make, to extend out another 4 months. So to make it go on a little longer. And here when it says such operations, it's referring to these, the air strikes. So these operations. There was one dissenter. So the dissenter voted against. So whenever you dissent, it means you disagree. So he did not agree with the other 488 people, and he was the lone dissenter. So the only one, the one and only dissenter. And his political is center-right. So that's how we describe political views: left, center, and right. So he was a member of parliament, and he argued, so what he thought was that these airstrikes are making the situation worse. So when you make something worse, it's the opposite of making it better. So he doesn't think that the airstrikes are helping the situation. In fact, it's probably making things worse, making people more aggressive or something. And this is according to a German website. They reported that he said that. So that's the idea there. The two brothers who killed 12 people at the offices of Charlie Hebdo claimed allegiance to Al-Qaeda, while the man who took hostages and killed 4 people in a kosher grocery store had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. Okay, Rafael.
The two brothers who killed 12 people at the offices of Charlie Hebdo claimed allegiance to Al-Qaeda, while the man who took hostages and killed 4 people in a kosher grocery store had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State.
Okay. So there were these two brothers, and they're the ones who killed the 12 people at the offices of Charlie Hebdo. So this is a weekly magazine that was coming out, every Wednesday, and there were cartoonists and journalists that kind of made jokes of lots of different things, making political statements about different religious ideas, and they had made caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, and that was what apparently upset these people. And so they claimed allegiance to. So when you claim something, you say I'm allegiant to, and so usually you claim allegiance. That means you're supported. That's who you believe in, or that's who you're working with. You can also pledge allegiance to your country. For example, in the United States, we have a pledge of allegiance where you stand in front of a flag and you say, "I pledge allegiance to," the flag of the United States of America, and that's what you do. You're with whatever, the country or whatever. So their allegiance is to Al-Qaeda, and that's a known terrorist group. But the other guy, there was another guy, he took hostages. So to take hostages means he held people as hostages, and he ended up killing 4 of them, and that was in a kosher grocery store, so a Jewish grocery store. But he was not with Al-Qaeda. Instead, he pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, which is where they're fighting, in Iraq. All right, so let's finish this last one. France's airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq are part of a larger international effort against the group in Iraq and Syria that also includes the U.S. airstrikes. Okay, so Vitaly. Last paragraph here. France's airstrikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
France airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq are part of a larger international effort against the group in Iraq and Syria that also included the USA strikes.
Okay. So, just let's see. Against. So airstrikes against for the preposition there. They're a part of. So they are part of a larger effort, international effort. So, of course, other countries are also participating in these airstrikes. So it's not just the French doing this. And these airstrikes are both in Iraq and in Syria, where the Islamic State is operating. And so the U.S. is also participating in these strikes or these air strikes. So it's an international effort. An effort is like what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of the Islamic State, and they're doing that with these air strikes. Okay, so before we start talking about this issue, this is obviously a current events issue. It's happening right now, and it doesn't necessarily affect everybody around the world, but it has effects, in certain countries, certain areas. Does anybody have any questions about the English? Any of the words that you didn't understand in the article?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah.
What's mean pledge?
Pledge. Okay. To pledge. All right, that's a good question. So you can use the verb to pledge a couple of different ways. To pledge, for example, if you are an organization and you're trying to get money for your organization, like donations, for example, I could pledge, let's say I pledge, I'm going to write it in the group chat, I pledge $50 to your group. That means I'm going to give you $50. I'm not giving it to you yet, but I'm going to give it. So I pledge $50 to your group. In this case, you're pledging allegiance. So you're saying that you are loyal to something, loyal to a country. For example, if I pledge allegiance to the United States, that means if there's ever a war or something, I'm going to stay on the side of the United States. They're my country, that kind of thing. If I don't pledge allegiance to the United States, then maybe if something happens, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave, or I'm going to fight with the other side or something like that. So to pledge means to give something. So like I can pledge money towards charity organization, or I can pledge my allegiance, my loyalty, my desire to stand with a country or a group, something like that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody has that or not, but for example, I'm gonna show you here. So in the United States, when you go to school, mostly, at least when I was in school, we had to stand up every morning, and you had to put your right hand over your heart, and then you say the Pledge of Allegiance. And so it's as you can see here, it's an expression of fealty, which means loyalty, to the flag of the United States, which represents the country, And so these are some of the versions. This is the version now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So people around the country say this Wait,
friendly companion.
what? Say that again?
Friendly companion, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Training. Training that.
To save rules
Yes.
of big country.
Yes. Yes. So it's you pledge your allegiance. You say I'm going to be I'm going to be loyal to my country, or you can pledge allegiance. You know, like if you're a big sports fan or something, you might pledge allegiance to Barcelona or to Real Madrid. It means that you're not going to switch teams. You're not going to support another team. You're going to just be loyal to your team. I don't know if other Amparo, are you back?
Yes.
Do you, in Ecuador, do you have some kind of pledge allegiance to a flag or anything?
Well, when you are at the school or you are in high school, you support. You are supposed to, yes, to. There is a day for the flat day, and
Yeah.
if you are in the last year of your high school, you have to do the reverence or to like swear your flag, and you promise that you are respect the event that you have to. It's not, if you are, for example, witness of Jehovah, they just bending a little bit like a bow, but
Yeah.
we just how to say, put in your knees, on your knees.
Yeah, you go down on your knees, or you.
Yeah, yeah, in front of the flag.
Mhm.
And when you every Monday in the public institutions or in the high school, for example, we used to sing the anthem, and usually the correct position is to put your hand over your heart.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Antonio, do you have something like that in Spain, to like allegiance to the country or to the flag or something?
Not, people here is not very keen on to show um, his allegiance to the flag, or
Allegiance. Yeah.
allegiance to the flag of the anthem.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a letter in the anthem, in the national anthem. This make people make jokes about.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What about in Brazil, Rafael?
I remember I had to pledge allegiance when I was in military school, but it was a long time ago. And in my childhood, I think every Tuesday we used to sing the national anthem in the morning before classes. I don't know if I don't know if it's currently kept. I don't know if people still do this nowadays, but at least when I was in primary school, we used to do this.
I'm wondering if they do the national anthem before the soccer games at all.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay. That's common. Yeah, here in the US, pretty much before any like professional sports game, even for kids, sometimes some big events or competitions, they'll play the national anthem before the event starts. But usually you guys probably know the national anthem is very patriotic. It talks about usually like the history of how your country came to be, the people who fought for the country, this type of thing. So the same thing with the national anthem of France. It's talking about, after the French Revolution and calling the people to arms and the citizens and how they, fought for their country, that type of thing. So each country has a national anthem with some kind of theme that talks about the countrymen and the people who came together and fought to we sometimes say the fatherland, for example, for the country. That's basically what it means. Okay, Vitaly, do you have a pledge of allegiance? Is that something that happens in schools or at sporting events or?
What I know, the threat of terrorism in Kazakhstan plays an increasingly important role in Kazakhstan's relations with the United States. All-time high. Kazakhstan has taken Uzbekistan's place as a favorite partner in Central Asia for both Russia and the United States.
Okay. Yeah.
No terrorist attack has ever been carried out successfully in Kazakhstan. But Kazakhstan officials say they have uncovered and prevented attack.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. There are lots of different ways that we could talk about this. I mean, this is interesting. You know, the title of this article is "France is at war with." So, based on the recent events, they're trying to make it clear that they're not going to put up with this kind of thing in their country. They don't want any more radical Islamists terrorizing the population. You know, whether or not the population is Christian or Jewish or Muslim, they want all people in their country to be free to express themselves and free to be safe. Okay? I just wanted to say, in today's news, they are reporting that Al-Qaeda has claimed a responsibility for the attack. So I haven't read this or anything, but it's kind of the latest news is that the Al-Qaeda in Yemen has claimed responsibility they ordered the Islamist militant group's leadership, they ordered the attack because of the insulting of the Prophet Muhammad. So that's according to a video, I guess, that was posted, so we don't know. Okay, so what do you guys think about this stuff that's happening? Let's start with you, Amparo. What do you think about France and the situation that they're in now with, you know, trying to protect their citizens from Islamist terrorists and these people who want to, you know, kill people because of their beliefs?
Yes, well, I suppose that the population is going to be in shock because of the last events. You are not going to feel sure what is going to happen, depending on the actions that the government is going to take. And yes, even when you said they accept Islam, Muslim peoples there, you don't know what kind of Muslim they are. So maybe they can be beside you. And even when you said, well, I know how they act, and they are supposed to have a good life and very respectful. You are going to with that kind of doubt in your mind, or probably you are going to think, well, maybe it's just appearance and he have another intention to be here. So that is the kind of confusion that is going to happen that people who live near a Muslim, for example. And that is unfortunately because not all of them think in the same way.
Sure, right.
Just is a small group. Unfortunately, people just generalize.
Yeah. Yes, I have seen some pictures where in some of the rallies, people were holding signs that said, you know, stop killing in my name. So, like, I'm a Muslim person, stop killing because I don't want you to do that, you know, like, and then because of what you just said, people might be suspicious of ordinary Muslims because they just don't understand or they don't know them well enough to know what their intentions are. So yeah, definitely we can say heightens, you know, it makes people more, it heightens the fear, increases the fear among people. Antonio, what do you think about this article and what's been happening? And
I think France is in a big trouble because they have a big amount of population, Muslim population, and the history of France history of domination of Algeria and Morocco. And when I was war, France left Algeria, for example, in the 60s.
Yes.
And there are many people who believes in Mahoma and Allah, and I think that the problem is very hard to solve. I don't know what they have to do. I think they have a big problem. It's possible. I am very worried because they are talking about the Schengen space is allow people in Europe to travel everywhere. People of the
the Schengen, the visa,
and we don't have borders,
right?
And they are going to not allow this law, and it's possible to put the borders again.
Okay.
It's not very easy to start this in this way. To find a solution in this way, but I think they have to do it. It's impossible to allow the people travel everywhere, up and down, and I think they have to control this kind of people, and it's going to be very difficult for them and for Europe.
Yeah.
Here in Spain, we are used to fight against the terrorists, and this is a hard problem for them, I think.
Yes. Well, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I hadn't heard about that and I didn't think about that, but that's true. The idea of securing your borders so that you kind of have more control over who is coming in and who's leaving, and that kind of thing. Yeah, so that would definitely affect the other European countries, especially the neighboring countries like like Spain to France. Yeah, Antonio, in Spain, the terrorists, you have ETA, which is a Basque terrorist group that the Spanish government has had to deal with, but have there been other terrorist groups in Spain?
Yes, there used to be several small groups, but they don't have many. They don't be very important. They don't were very important. Group.
Okay.
The most important group was ETA, and it seems the end is right now, but we don't know. They stopped to kill people 3 years ago, I think. I can remember. But here, for example, in my city, we had very important attacks from this terrorist movement.
Yeah. Okay, Rafael, what do you think about what's happening? I don't think it affects Brazil too much. I don't think there's a large Muslim population in Brazil. It's like Antonio said, we have to understand the history of France and the French Empire and the colonies and stuff. So they were definitely in, northern African countries where there are large groups of Islamists. And so I don't know. What do you think, Rafael, about what's happening in France?
Regarding the Muslims in Brazil, I don't know the exact number, but I believe this number is increasing. There are some reports recently that shows the number of refugees from Syria. We have received people from around 80 different nations. People who have to leave these countries, their home countries, due to wars and everything.
Yeah.
So, but I think there is a considerable number of Muslims here already.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the number. Regarding to France, I believe, I think I agree with all of you guys have mentioned. France opened her borders throughout time. Uh, I think just like United States in the beginning of the last century,
Mm-hmm.
and since there is around I don't know 5 million Muslims nowadays in France.
Mm-hmm.
So from now on, I believe that they have to find better ways to live, to understand their religion and understand their beliefs and everything else regarding their belongings. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that uh, I don't know.
What do you think the government should do about these radical Islamists? Because one thing is to talk about the Muslims, like maybe it doesn't really matter how many Muslims are living in your country. It's more important how many extremists are there. Like because they're the ones who are fighting with weapons and killing people. That kind of stuff. So. Do you think it's a good idea for the French government to try to be more tough on finding these people and maybe getting rid of them, getting them back to their own home countries or something?
I believe it's a matter of national security. They must find these people, and of course they need to evoke them. Not evoke, they need to expel them or do something more energetic,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
measure against them, because I believe that if not measure will be taken shortly, there will be the consequences will be worse,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that I think French people are just giving more, are enhancing the fear and rage of these extremists against them. So I understand. I understand that they must be more energetic against these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Vitaly, what do you think about the situation in France and how they're responding?
I remember some few years ago, Bin Laden said that they going to Europe with Islam. We can't make war. We make a caliphate. It's that it is happen now. Happens now.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. The government of France in the past give many people from Islamic countries.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see more people, young people, don't want to change their life. They stand with religion, their religions.
Mm-hmm.
The case because immigrants from Arabic states.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I think, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. what I'm just reading through the comments here, and this is a point of view that comes out. So it looks like the comments people are saying, you know, basically, of course, France needs to fight against jihadism. That, you know, the Western countries are already doing that, and the jihadists are at war with, you know, this guy says, the entire civilized world. But here's a point of view that some people have here. Another victory for the military-industrial complex. The war on terror in France will help the U.S. sell more weapons and security to perpetuate the corporate military security state. Jihadists are the gift that keep on giving to the military-industrial complex. It would be unsurprising to discover that jihadists and the people from these organizations were secretly involved with each other. This isn't very different from the old mafia game of protection, where people pay the mafia protection money to be protected from thugs. Little do they know the mafia also employ the thugs. So this is a point of view that some people have, that these kind of things just keep the U.S. military busy and making money. I don't know. What do you think, Amparo?
In some way, I think it have a little bit of reason that is kind of business for the United States, and they are always taking in everywhere, where they can find some. If that is the case, that is why they have always involved in any kind of trouble around the world. But in places that, for example, this at the same time, the events in Nigeria, I think it was almost 2,000 people die, but nobody else is there covering the news. So what is more important, friends, that they die? If you take note of the statistic, they just 12 people die over there, but in Nigeria they died a lot, and nobody else is covering that news. So that's a difference.
Yeah, that's another point of view that people bring up. The same thing happened like when the 9/11 attacks happened in New York. A lot of people said, of course, you know, whenever anybody dies, it's a sad thing and it's not, you know, good. But at the same time, there are countries in which a lot more people are dying, like you're saying. You know, hundreds, thousands of people are dying, and supposedly, you know, not much is not, you know, happening about that.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's definitely true. You know, 12, 17 people dying in a, you know, an attack like this. Of course, it's horrible. Yet, how many people, right, like, are dying in Africa like every day? You know, in wars, in armed conflicts, for all kinds of
starving.
And starving, yes. So it's, you know, people bring up that idea. Do we value some lives more than others? You know, are some people in some countries more important than other people in other countries? So that's definitely a tough thing to realize. Antonio, what do you think about that?
I completely agree with you. A pity, but this is true. We couldn't forget that France hosted the Ayatollah Khomeini in the 70s and the 60s, and sent it to Iran to come back to start and to lead a new political way to end the Shah of the Iran, and fight against, and they made a big revolution of Ayatollahs in the 70s. And in Spanish we say from those there's a saying in Spanish who said from those earth that and I don't know how to say.
So,
De aquellos barros estos lodos.
oh,
You understand Spanish?
yeah, yeah. So, well, I think what you're bringing up is the point that a lot of these things have a history, you know, and so yeah, the French certainly have done their part in aggravating people and going into other countries, supporting people who aren't so great in terms of their record on violence, and so you have to look at these things in a historical context. It's just unfortunate that sometimes innocent people or people who you could say are not in the government, they're not making the decisions, they're the ones that get killed, you know. So the French government, the French prime minister, the French president, they weren't attacked. It were these people who were, writing about these issues and also making the jokes and things like that. Yeah. Vitaly, you mentioned that there haven't been any terrorist attacks. Why do you think that is in your country?
In my country, it's very sad what's happening now in the world. But I don't know. I don't know what to do to change situation. I pessimist. I think it is very late to change something.
Oh yeah. Okay. Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, millions, Islamic people who change their religions by radical Islamic. In my country, forbid radical Islamist parts.
So there aren't any, or there are some?
Awesome.
Oh, there are some. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say.
But they haven't done any, or maybe they've tried, but you said the government or the police have found out about it ahead of time, maybe, to prevent.
Yeah. It's very help. Yes, by a government and police.
Yeah, and that's another point that some people talk about, is that maybe some governments are better than other governments at really fighting against this type of thing, and so some people don't think that maybe the U.S. has been doing a good job, and now maybe France, and so like the French prime minister is saying now, we are going to do more. We're going to do more. So it's interesting. Oh, Raphael, you're back. Like I said, I think it's really interesting, especially for you guys to read through the comments, because you really do get to see how people are talking. So this guy brings up the fact that, maybe there are some Christian extremists committing atrocities, committing horrible things. But then this guy says, get out with that. So here's a little argument happening. He is saying you have to do some digging to find any Christian extremists committing acts of violence in the name of God. And it can't even be mentioned in the same breath as the horrors Islamic extremists visit upon Westerners. Next, you'll bring up the Crusades, the Christian Crusades, which is true. It happened in history. So that's one thing, is that some people think there are Christians out there doing kind of the same thing, but other people disagree. There aren't, or you don't hear about them. And another point here is that, he says, this has been going on throughout human history. We are all monkeys whose brains got too big, and monkeys like to kill other monkeys they don't like. And so he's questioning even the idea, do we even live in a civilized world? And then he goes back in history to ask, were all these people civilized? They were doing the same thing. So basically humans will be humans is his point of view, which basically humans kill other humans that they don't like. Raphael, what do you think about that comment from this guy? Would you agree? That Vitaly, that's kind of a
Yeah, I agree.
point of view. Yeah.
That's what was.
Right, yeah. So humans will be humans, and we kill each other. What do you think, Raphael?
How can I say? It's the awful truth.
It's the awful truth. It seems to be, yeah. 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 What do you think, Amparo? Is it the awful truth?
Yeah.
Or are we evolving? Some people think we're evolving, but I don't know. To a more peaceful way of being.
Well, I think there are some people that it could be have a lot of fanatism, and that is when they become dangerous for the rest of people, because they have their own interpretation of the words that they have their Holy Bible or
Yes.
the Quran or something.
Yeah.
That's when we are in trouble.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, good. Thanks, guys, for coming to class. We are out of time, and I have to go start my next class. But I hope this is interesting. It's definitely current events. Not everybody likes to talk about politics or things that are happening, but there are some people who do, and it's also good for English learning because definitely all these things, these people talking in the comments section, this isn't how you have a conversation. These are people going back and forth with each other about this particular topic. So I recommend that when you guys read an article online, check out the comments to just kind of see what people, how they express themselves.
Yeah, but you can find also crazy comments.
Yes, people yell and cuss at each other and insult each other. Yes, that's true. Yes. Okay, thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.